Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout 3. Let's continue. I am incredibly coffee right now, so apologies if I start hacking up along. I'll try and mute myself if I can. We're doing Agatha song and going into a vault here that the door is open, so I just assume that what we're going to find here is a dungeon full of death claws. Um, it seems on the level of us being depicted here that the vault door has been opened for a while. It definitely seems like you don't even need a code or a Pip Boy. You can just press a button and the door opens. Uh-oh. Took a sweet time to reset there. For a second there, I thought I just locked myself out. I guess I could have probably just reloaded. Um, so I keep getting into this situation with my network has been just incredibly terrible for a week. This newest ISP I've got, while the speeds are really good, the uptime is incredibly poor. Like just one incident like this is completely unacceptable. Um, so that puts me in this situation where, on top of being kind of sick, we also have uh, this situation where I'm getting incredibly bored. Without the internet, there's nothing I can do. In fact, I even set up a system before I started having internet trouble to capture over the air TV and stream it over my local network. And even that, even though that is a local network and not an internet thing, seems to rely just a little bit on having a good internet connection for you to even watch TV. Not that there usually is even that much to a watch. And yeah, if you really wanted to demoralize an American and a Westerner, cut off their internet and they will be fairly lost as far as more modern generations. It may be a quick journey back to learning how to read books. Uh, let's listen to this. We have Professor Melius audio log.
So far, the experiment is going exactly as planned. We're subjecting the residents to extremely low-frequency white noise in regular intervals through the loudspeaker system. Using the soundproof recording studios and the musicians was an inspired idea. Kudos to the Vault-Tec selection committee on their shrewdness.
So yeah, we immediately know that they opted to take interesting. They opted to bring in like really high level musicians just to do some kind of experiment on. Just, which yeah, we have seen scenarios already where the um, we've seen scenarios already where the vaults have proven to not be really what they were, but increasingly we're being shown that it wasn't just a case of somebody uh, accidentally releasing a gas and it creating hallucination or the overseer becoming crazy. Um, it's odd to just see bloat flies, though. So I wonder if this isn't a case where, and this just leads to a whole different area. I wonder if this isn't a case, instead of them turning into death claws, if they turned them into bloatflies. Or did they turn them into mirelurks, and is that where mirelurks came from? What you're going to take from this is that anything and everything could... Interesting. Doors here. Anything and everything could have been a human at one point and then slowly evolved. And at 1 radiation a second, we can stay in this water for a decent amount of time, but we wouldn't really want to go very far. There's some story here, if we're going to read it. And we transferred into the reactor room as its own load. So, effectively, this is a separate dungeon. But it does seem like this is going to be just a linear path. And I imagine if I had reached this area during this quest at a lower level, we wouldn't be really fighting Mirelurk kings. We would probably just be fighting Mirelurks. There's a lot of reflections and flickering happening here visually, which I think pretty obviously highlights that. Interesting. The guy's trying to open the door so he can get through. Yeah, I thought we might just fight bloatflies. This would have been a kind of great place to take the bloatflies into the next direction. And let's see, how much radiation did that really do for us? 56. Basically nothing. But I kind of just assume what happened here is that they didn't ever figure a bigger version of the bloatflies would make sense. And we never got a trade that would tell us somebody is actually out there looking for bloatfly meat. And that is all these guys ever drop. We never got a recipe for bloatfly meat. We'll just keep on going this way. Seems kind of silly to introduce a different kind of door. So, local map. We went reactor room, living quarters. So, oddly, just for consistency's sake, let's run back this way. Kind of going in circles. But this is just like nothing. This would be nothing even at level 5. Unless these specific locations of bloatflies are supposed to indicate something. Like those were people. So now we're loading to a different area. So if they never came out with a different, bigger version of the bloatfly, or any kind of like maggots that, like it would almost make sense for there to be a giant worm like maggot creature. That would crawl around to possibly replace the rad roaches, or at least be in parallel with the rad roaches. Like, if there was something here that would kind of explode into a giant ball of bloatflies, that would make a lot of sense. I don't know if there's really a reason to hold on to sensor modules at this point. We made it finally in the good graces of the outcasts. And see, now we have like these musical stands, and there definitely was that school before where it would have made sense for the musical stands to exist, and yet they didn't. It does just seem like they went very overboard in the 3D models they chose to include, whereas as a director, just trying to potentially, if I was the game director for this, I would have definitely tried to have a limited amount of things, just random items. They almost treat it like it's a sales point to say this game has over 100 different interactable objects, or over 200 even. It might be approaching 200 as far as items or 3D models. We're seeing enough Mirelurks here that there is definitely a thought that this entire environment would be humans turned to Mirelurks. We have a broken door. We don't see this very often, and frankly we should see this more often. Just broken doors, places you can't cross. It does seem like what we're seeing here is classrooms, and the general idea of students being taught music as a multi-generational experiment. This projector, though, it's not projecting anything, so let's listen to this note.
The situation is getting out of hand. Over half the population of the vault is exhibiting savage tendencies. We can only assume our noise experimentation has awakened some dormant part of their psyche, brought their primitive nature to the surface. In essence, I feel that they are almost psychologically devolving. I was stupid for rushing these experiments. Now over 35 people are dead.
And see, that's number 5. So we skipped from number 1 to number 5. I guess the idea may have been that the music would have calmed the baser natures of these people, and instead it turned them into some form of monster, although we don't know for sure if that is the Mirelurks or if it's something else. Definitely it's totally believable that all the monsters we're fighting right now or mad science gone wrong instead of long over 200 year period of time evolutions, because any evolution doesn't take that short of amount of time, and B, humans would have almost certainly evolved too, unless there was some very different reason why evolution wouldn't have happened in humans. We have a terminal here, so we thought. Sees a whole wall of text. I guess this is the idea with each of these. The more with 2 R's and less capitalization, where her brain is getting turned into less intelligible. So this whole Agatha song quest has revealed a bit of nastiness, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We still could easily find the vault, find the violin, or in the vault, and let's see. So this is the overseer's office. We cannot get into it from there. We're gonna have to work our way backwards from that. Now we can still find the violin. I'll just Milo King. Not really even making any sound. Okay. So down this way. Just start over here. Are finding probably enough pre-war books to justify turning in some more pre-war books. Take Nuka-Cola. Here you have a vending machine for some more Nuka-Colas.
Men and ladies, boys and girls, prepare to be astounded, bedazzled, and otherwise stupefied. I'm Rydo, your master of ceremonies. Here's the latest news. Unemployment is down, stocks are up, and the UN has just declared global peace forever. Now the real news. I've been getting more and more reports of these mercenary maniacs from Talon Company, especially in the downtown DC area. If you see these hombres, steer clear. Whatever you have.
So 3 Dog is
Not really into asking politely.
talking about the Talon Company.
These guys take all the contracts the other mercs won't. In short, there's nothing they won't do. So be careful out there. Until next time, this is 3 Dog. Ow! And you're listening to Galaxy News Radio, bringing you the truth, no matter how bad it hurts.
Yeah, so it seems like
Some music.
3 Dog will occasionally comment on what I'm doing. But I don't know if I've even done anything recently enough that you would have something to comment on. I can't help but feel like there was just nothing in there. What would have been better, and here we have the music playing perfectly fine through the jukeboxes, but still not playing fine if we were to come in here. Just no explanation as to why that is glitched like that. I would have definitely been happier had they... Door requires a key, so that's probably the final location. If they had forced me to listen to some of these Galaxy News radio reports, maybe just by having the radio on at the end of a long hallway. I doubt any of these Mirelurks are going to have the key on them. And that there was a more scripted experience to it, where there was really only 5 or 6 specifically recorded stories that may be split in a good path and a bad path based on what you do, but don't go super crazy, because there could be 50 different lines of dialogue that they had 3 dog record talking about what the player's doing, and none of it matters. Whereas if you just had like one specific thing to say for every specific mainline quest, then that would be about 23 things that could be fairly short for him to say.
What I've discovered. Just before he died, one of the security team members told me everything. The Overseer has been implanting these murderous intentions in the entire Vault population without my knowledge. Using the loudspeakers in the dorms instead of just the studios. He subjected everyone to the white noise as they slept. He then implanted combat suggestions he claims came from Vault-Tec itself. He must be completely insane. No observation, no controls. I'm going to have to confront him now and make him pay for what he's done. Half the Vault is dead. The other half, fighting for its life. Good luck to all of us. And may God have mercy on our souls.
And see, like, none of this actually seems like that this is turning people into Mirelurks. It seems like the Mirelurks just came 100 years of a year later. And up until this point, we've mostly been saying it seemed like it's really the Overseers that are getting corrupted, and Vault-Tec itself seems to be mostly blameless, but no, there's definitely a level of corruption that happens even there. And while a game like this could certainly handle going back in time, you probably wouldn't want to embrace that idea, but there is a story certainly to tell where going back and trying to stop Vault-Tec would be interesting. Here we have the Soil Stradivarius, or Soil Stradivarius is what I think I'll just call it. So, but we can see that there's more to do, at least more to find out, even though that doesn't seem like it has any real bearing on the quest. Like, if the white noise is still playing, by the way, like, doesn't really seem to be affecting me. So in front of me is a room we are looked at. To the left of me is a room we've looked at. So we go back up here. The white noise might be playing, and that might have brought people to the that might have brought people to specifically the Mirelurks to be angry, or you definitely could have merged the bloatflies too, so that the bloatflies always burst out of high-level mirelurks. You defeat like a mirelurk king, all of a sudden 2 or 3 bloatflies pop up, and particularly then you might even have the mirelurk kings move a little bit faster so that they can get a little bit closer. Tape feedback loops. We'll read that. So, seems like people are trying to escape, and seems like we are. I missed the triple wire here. Stepped over it. Although how I was supposed to even see that without looking down is questionable. Although, in all fairness, this entire level has a decent amount of traps laying around. How'd we end up back this way? Sound testing, living quarters. We haven't been to the living quarters, I bet. How do I get so turned around, though? Came through this door. It's sort of taken me down. And I started by coming out this door. I guess that was sound testing. And so this is just the general atrium area. Whole bunch of bodies. No Vault 92 jumpsuits to be seen. So, the Pokemon collect them all mentality of having one jumpsuit from every area may not be something you can actually satisfy. But surely that should have been a quest. Like, I really feel like the game should have kind of started from the idea, like one of the very first quests you should have gotten would have been to say collect one of everything if you want to. Just have a crazy, obsessive, compulsive person approach you and say, I want it all, gotta catch it all. Literally, maybe even have them dress up like Ash Ketchum, and then give you a quest to collect one of everything in the game. Or pick up one of everything in the game. And maybe you don't even have to tell people what the items are that they're picking up. You could just say unique item 1 through 400, and then maybe if you get 90% of the things collected, clearly there could have been a door there. I'm seeing cracks on the walls. I don't know if I've noticed that in any other location. But yeah, if you get like 90% of the way there, as far as generic items, then maybe then the game could throw you a bone and start naming the items you haven't picked up, and you could make extra effort to pick up some of the rarer generic items in the game. Nothing is particularly that rare, but for instance, if you never picked up a green plate, you're never going to find that inside of a container. And here we have some skates, which again feel like just yet another extra item that are here. We're also getting a lot more energy weapon ammo these days. We're burning through bobby pins fairly fast. We'll leave the rest. We'll go ahead and hack this terminal for more XP. Construct. Countdown. I assume this is just going to unlock the safe. More stuff that we'll pretend like we can read. Pause if you want to read it yourself. Overseer's office this way. So here we have, if we look at the local map, a crushed area, and it seems like dead body. You'd almost assume that there would be a gun next to it, and then a very easy door, lockpick. So it seems like everything has just been barricaded. This doesn't feel simply as just a overseer's office as much as it is a whole apartment. Yeah, we do nothing with the empty Coca-Cola jars, as far as I can tell. Nuka-Cola jars. We do nothing with pre-war money. Just, I mean, it would be so easy to make a mod to just remove those elements if they play no role in any quest. This is a lot of people. Like, if there's 3 beds in one room and 2 beds in the other, is this smaller area supposed to be like the parents' room and then this is the kids' room? Or is this the kids' room and then there's some weird throuple happening here, but then there are individual beds too? Like, this definitely wouldn't be the first time. No, here's 2 beds next to each other, so if this is one family unit, you've got like 3 kids this way and 2 kids this way. Although there's no indication really that these are kids. These could just be all the security team and the chosen ones of the overseer. You have a different kind of shelf here, but it doesn't open. Here we have another audio log.
I'm a bit encouraged by the latest batch of data. It seems that 33% of the subjects are now lapsing into a trance-like state on occasion. When in this state, we're fairly certain that suggestion and programming of the subject can be applied. We've begun testing this by implanting subtle cues in affected subjects, making them scratch their ear or constantly fix their hair. So far, I'm happy to report a 100% success rate on this implementation method.
So this is copy 2, by the way, of up to 6 or more. So we're listening to these out of order, which really just once again highlights the need for, if you're going to tell a narrative like this, for it to be in a linear fashion one way or the other. Whether you just have specific computers that give you one of the tapes numerically after the next tape always, or whether you just have each of the audio logs even in the same places where they've been, but just change the numbers as you walk in the room to be the next one. And here we have another overseer's office. A stealth boy. But it would be kind of crazy to believe that he's still alive and in this facility. These vaults are laid out very much copy and pasted, which makes sense because of them being vaults. So why not have 2 or 3 more? As per my instructions, the broadcast equipment for the white noise has been rerouted from the south bourse and tied directly into the entire vault's loudspeaker system. It may now be able to execute Vault Staff Confidential Plan WNMSCE, White Noise Mind Suggestion Combat Experimentation. Like, so Vault-Tec clearly was doing these kind of unethical experiments. I don't know for what reason. Anyways, like, clearly they have ties to the U.S. military. And, like, this would have been, like, 2077, 2075, according to the copyright at the top there. And they might want to have been wanting to do those experiments for the military before the bombs fell. But then nobody would have been in the vault until after the bombs fall. So it suggests that the only way this would have made sense is either Vault-Tec went pretty rogue and is trying to make combatants for a future reemergence from the vault, or the U.S. military intentionally let the bombs fall to do something to reset the world or do these unethical experiments. Apparently the white noise machines can be triggered at local security consoles with a code. Will we do that? Or is that code pointless? Seems like the initial idea was from higher ups above the overseer, which I guess implies that the Vault-Tec company probably still was around after the bombs fell. That would make sense. Instead of trying to go back in time and stop Vault-Tec from doing all these bad things, instead of just making regular survival Fallout shelters, what would probably work better in a potential Fallout 6 is to just reveal Vault-Tec is still alive. That there's been entire generations of people in Vault 1 or Vault 0 or Vault -1 that they've been secretly issuing orders to all the other vaults and doing experiments and manipulating them in effort to do some nefarious goal. That would also give you a lot of good reason to potentially hunt down specific vaults, get inside those vaults and kill these bad guys, and potentially open up a lot of other vaults that have yet to end up like so many of the vaults we've seen here, where it just always goes bad and everyone dies. Says command phrase is no longer working against the crazies. I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm losing control of the situation. If we don't get things under control soon, we're going to have to revolt on our hands. Malleus is inciting the rest of the vault into action. I'm afraid by the power invested in me by the Vault-Tec Corporation, I have no choice but to have him killed. What a waste. So, did that succeed? Or did it not succeed? And see, now we have this note in note form also.
Disaster today. One of our test subjects, V920717, has murdered 3 other residents in a fit of unbridled rage, the likes of which I've never seen. It took almost 23 shots before the security team took him down. This subject has no history of violence or mental instability whatsoever. My concern is that this subject is one of our most successful implant recipients, able to execute complex instructions during a trance state.
So we have everything here except for 4, as far as the audio logs are concerned. And again, there doesn't seem to be a secret passage in this vault, in this overseer's office. And I think we need to go back through the sound testing door, which is not the door we came through. This is Vault 92. Where we are standing is pointing to something different. This is pointing to something different. Feels like there would have been a door here. But there isn't. This just goes around in circles. This terminal is totally dead. These computers are still working. These terminals have never been interactable. I guess we still have yet to see the living quarters. Maybe there's a way around in that. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like this is an area that very possibly just cannot be really accessed, and they put some doors in the map and then they gave up on the idea of using those doors, and so they just walled them off. That would be my suspicion. Here we can hear something is bouncing around. Some dead body or some item flopping around somewhere around here. Alright. There is definitely a problem with there not being enough noise being made by people. Like the fact that these Mylar Kings don't just occasionally have like a loud low groan or something, or their steps don't make a squishy wet sound. You get a little bit of that on the Mylar Hunters, but it's not very pronounced. These guys are just gonna run towards me. Woman's dorm security terminal. Apparently we already have the password. Let's see. Intercom operator. General services. Kitchen. Noise flush. So now we can hear a white noise sound effect happening. It does seem like that just killed everything. Let's not do that again though, because while that may have cleaned out the room and that as a concept may have been helpful if we were playing this level at a very low level, which I could definitely have seen that happening, what we've just done is screw ourselves out of a couple of opportunities to kill things. Now we just have dead mirelurks. We have never found anything interesting in these toilets, so... Yeah, you have a teddy bear. So yeah, they should have gotten rid of the toilet doors as a concept. There's really no reason to have programmed toilet doors into the game if you weren't going to hide at least a few interesting things. Would have been very, very easy to always have at least a stim pack behind a toilet door. Something of decent value. There's literally nothing in the safe. Let's see. We could grab these lunchboxes if they were more important for lunchbox mines. But they aren't. I am definitely expecting there to be something more here. You would pretty much have to expect that there's at least a book or a named weapon, if not a full-on what would be the other options? Bobblehead. Could be a bobblehead. Certainly. Charisma. Bobblehead. Would kind of make sense. Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of those situations again where I think I'm going to have to pause the recording. So let's make a safety save. Pause this, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just as I'm sick, the need for taking more breaks is continuously growing. But also covering a series like this and doing like 3-hour episodes. I probably haven't figured out a good system, if there is a good system for doing long plays at all for YouTube in particular. But I probably have not figured out a good system as to how to break up episodes. I don't want to have a game airing potentially for months and months, if not possibly a whole year. One guy with an assault rifle. So that's the longer episode reasoning. And this is really a game that, even in gameplay sessions, you are going to play longer episodes anyways. So it's not unrealistic to have 3-hour episodes. It's just weird. And content creators have always gone with the idea of doing reviews and cutting out entire, like, well, Steam says I've been playing this game for 300 hours. I don't believe that to actually be true, but I wouldn't be surprised if we are approaching 100 hours of time actually spent playing. And it's really just doing the same thing everybody else would be doing if I were to just spend potentially 100 hours, cutting 100 hours into a 2-hour retrospective. I do hope at some point, if my YouTube channel, or if my content ever became super popular, it doesn't matter if it's on YouTube or somewhere else, that maybe people would pull out enough clips, which is the thing that YouTube is doing now, letting people make clips, that they could have an abridged version of my coverage, get the good commentary, and cut and paste that into something a little bit more palatable for the casual viewer. But at that point, I'd almost certainly have to hire someone to do that work for me. It would be unfair to heavily rely on free labor for that. This is the Mormons' dorms. Seems like the noise flush probably did more than just the men's dorm. There's a problem here, certainly, in if Mirelurks really came from this area and were engineered using the low hum of sounds, then it really doesn't make any sense that we've seen Mirelurks anywhere else. And it basically implies that there is not a single naturally living creature that we've run into, and all the monsters we've been shooting in this game were created through mad science, almost all of it from Vault-Tec. I guess maybe I flushed and killed all of this the first time. I have to just assume that that's the case. And we see there is a Nuka-Cola Quantum here, a security terminal, allow access, doors opening, we'll leave that. Doesn't seem like there's much of anything else. Empty metal boxes, though it would be so easy to just remove the empty metal boxes. There's a big difference between like broken computer terminals here that look nothing like the working ones. And so these effectively have a hue and highlight to them that make them stand out. Versus a metal box that has something in it versus a metal box that is empty. Let's see, pulse mines on the ground. Maybe this was supposed to be the generation, the place you learn about like pulse weapons, but then we don't use pulse weapons against anything in any real numbers. And I wouldn't have never even considered that a Mirelurk might be affected by a pulse weapon. Like, we have burned through bobby pins terribly. We gotta do this better. 1, 2, 2 failures. Go back, come back. 1, 2, come back. The odds of you getting it on 2 are a problem. And starting in the middle is the problem. So you need to start here. You can't back out once you've broken it, so there's kind of no reason to have done that. A lot of these rataways clipping through the table here. There's just like absolute visual reasons why you wouldn't want these out and about. And we did see like one bobby pin on the ground, which they were in like a little box. So it is possible that there are bobby pins laying on the ground all over the place and I've just not seen them, but they would have to be kind of actively on the ground, and and in places you would not see them otherwise. That is one thing I will applaud things being on the shelf. If everything was more realistically just on lying on the ground with the shelf being knocked over, then we'd always have to keep our eyes downward, and that's not really what you want for the game. Of course, the step around that would be to simply have a highlight so when you walk in a room you can see across the room whether there's something to pick up or not. And the rate of return on this stuff is pretty low. We found number 4. So we've probably found all the audio logs.
Unbelievable. We've had 12 more incidents in the past month mirroring subject V920717's actions. The shocking part is the savagery these aberrants exhibit when they murder. They rip their victims apart limb from limb and eviscerate them by hand. These used to be respected members of the musical community. How could this be happening? Where have I gone wrong?
What you're not seeing here is the end of the girl. So we don't have that story. Nor is there really even a quest here to potentially find out what happened to that girl. Whether she maybe escaped or whether she was just one of the many corpses we found. I think you do have to assume that the Mirelurks were not created from this. We've seen no indication that that's actually how it went down. But you would almost certainly have assumed that there would have been an optional side quest here to find out what happened to the girl who had the violin. And maybe some of that is being told in these dialogue via the screens, the things I'm not paying any attention to. But maybe it's not. Let's check the local map. Made it all the way here. And we have what seems like just 2 ways to exit to Vault 92. We came this way, so we'll exit that way. I think this could be the girl, this could be the girl. I would very much prefer for the game to directly tell me that rad roaches and Mirelurks were just natural evolutions, not affected in any way by the Vault Tech enemy, which Vault Tech as an organization does need to show themselves to be kind of a big bad in some game, but then you also run into the problem of then there not being really anything more that you could do with the Fallout universe. And arguably the Fallout universe, having 4 games in its name anyways, should probably just do a soft reboot, because Fallout 1 and 2 and Brotherhood and Tactics, all of those are significantly different enough that a full reboot, full remake would, I assume, I can't find anything here, reset things. It would give you a way of trying to tell the story a little bit tighter and better, Even the kind of main enemy in this game and Fallout 4, they all stand on their own as just this kind of generic main enemy. So we've got some other places that we'll investigate, but let's just fast travel to Agatha's house and finish the quest. Although, arguably I should get a well-rested bonus first, but whatever.
You have the violin? You've done it!
Let's just talk to
Oh,
her.
my goodness gracious. Seems like you've been gone forever. Please tell me you have good news.
Let's see, here's your violin, Agatha, and I guess that's all we could have hoped.
Oh, my goodness. I must see it, please.
Is it going to be an actual 3D model?
Oh, my. It's more beautiful than I could have ever imagined.
I imagine they won't
can't
actually
thank you
show
enough.
it.
I wish I had something to give you.
But we
a
did
more
see it
suitable
as a
reward
3D
for all
model
your efforts.
in the...
All I can give you is the frequency to my radio set. Tune in whenever you feel like listening to the strains of an old woman's violin playing.
So yeah, I assume we've gained some karma instead of like selling it. And we have a ham radio. And we never even looked in these areas, and I just don't see... I don't think there's anything worth looking at. Right. So now
This next piece reminds me of something my husband said.
we can listen to this.
Friendship is like a violin. Even if
It'll be interesting if the music plays right on this. Nope, it's broken too. So because of that glitch, we can't do anything further. There. Alright. So our next thing would be to go to Republic of Dave, which we messed that up. And we'll just work our way down here through the Republic of Dave. We also missed this. Let's go to this first. So here we are in the Roosevelt Academy, which may have been a place specifically that had some of those music stands. Just letting them shoot at me. Yeah, it just doesn't really feel like there was a full story there in that quest. And I would gladly get rid of a square kilometer of the open world for there to have been just better writing. So if somebody's trying to fight me. Alright, so we've got some raiders here. It's oddly kind of doing this black and white thing. Or it feels black and white. At least. These radios still not really doing anything. And I guess in the middle of that whole cutscene, the other raider decided to stand in front of me. It's not really even worth it to look at the piles of ash. Yeah, and this area seems like it is really just a slight lean-to area. It is possible that there's something somewhere around here. Yeah, there's a door to the power station. yeah. Suppose there is a possibility that we would have run to a location like this and just seen this upper part and just assumed that that was it. What this doesn't feel like this is going to do, though, is lead you to particularly go and investigate way over there. We could do that, certainly, but I assume, unless I get a map for bobbleheads and it tells me it's in an area. I also don't feel like this is going to turn into the headquarters of all the raiders as some kind of unified faction, or a place where we're going to be able to actually turn on power. We do have a book here. Notice how everything is just popping up off the table and floating now. We do have actual power seeming to flow. I think it's also important to mention that in a lot of games, I would just be walking over these people's corpses and picking up bullets and items. And you wouldn't have to search or put any real effort to it. That would definitely speed things up if you just had to walk forward and then all of a sudden that let you. Right, I'm gonna make a safety save. We're getting back to that point. I'm gonna always go to the left. See, that's not really doing anything. Then go to the right. You could call it quantum. See, this might very well be the place where the Nuka-Cola Clear was supposed to be turned in. I'm just randomly guessing and got lucky there. Yeah, we're gonna quickly kind of be at level 23. But clearly this is a chem lab, and that they're making chemicals. You'd think this yellow book or cigarette carton packets or whatever those are supposed to be, you'd think that'd be something of importance. But yeah, they could be manufacturing drugs here. That would be my assumption. And using the power as a source of security. Not really seeing anything here otherwise, though. Just a couple of people. Let's check the local map just to make sure. Yeah. So either you go in, you would have gone in there if you had more negative karma, potentially. This is what I assume. And maybe been able to turn over the Nuka-Cola Quantum Clear formula and gotten rewarded, maybe in drugs, maybe in just standard bullets and things like that. Here you have a whole boat, but not particularly even an easy way to get on this boat. This is the kind of 3D model that kind of doesn't need to exist, because it's not being put to good use. There's a valve steering wheel here that's been reused from like metal pipes. This is, I think, in part used from the pieces of the subway areas. I guess it might have made sense for the boats to exist in this whole area, but I'm definitely not loving that concept. And there's not like a really deep water part of the water where something was like in these canisters of importance. A lot of this doesn't even make sense. Why would you have a power station that had a door that low if this is supposed to be some kind of canal or something where water would just go right up to it? I mean, talk about building a power station in the middle of a floodplain. Whatever, I won't get too pedantic, I suppose, on urban planning, but...
Help! Help!
And you still can't kill these kids, and there's still kind of nothing else you can do. Like... So, by killing the Brahmin, you've potentially killed the kids. But yeah, beyond that, there's nothing more you can do. Like we've been, we were in each of these houses. And we looked all throughout this. And just a whole bunch of kids running around. We took everything from the safe. We took everything everywhere else. You do run into this issue, certainly, where there is just a lot of regret when you do play a section badly like this. And when they give you a section that is a little bit more difficult to figure out how you were supposed to manipulate the election, which is actually a very crazy way to have to manipulate the election. I do recall saying when I walked to the Republic of Dave that it seemed odd I had not run into anything else in this area. And I guess I proved myself correct about that there was just some things I managed to walk from left to right of and not ever actually find. But yeah, getting every location marked on the map is, I think, worth it. Now that we have just like death claws wandering around everywhere, the wasteland here has just become incredibly dangerous for me and others. Alien power cell, alien power cell, alien power cell, alien power cell, alien power cell. Well, we may very well be taken into DLC at this rate. Because these alien power cells are definitely related to DLC. And you may just run into that problem where some bits of DLC, you will just accidentally wander into them. if this isn't part of DLC, the bullets certainly are. So maybe with that DLC they decided to put a place where you would find a bunch of alien power cells. And it's only a slight spoiler to say if you're finding aliens power cells, you're going to find aliens, greys. And that does fit in this story way better than it would fit in something like Skyrim. But since it was a standalone DLC element, you also run into an issue with it not integrating with the main story or being something that could be a main focus. In fact, this DLC introducing aliens introduces a potential new enemy that could be a main enemy in a future game. There are no alien power cells, though, inside any of this area. Nor are we finding book, nor are we finding a item. So we are just gonna have to keep on safety saving. And load. Well, we now know what's in there. Letters, downhill, entirely. Caligula. Signed. Attached. Jonathan's. Tensions. Questioning. We're not getting any real help here. Messages. Officers. Yeah, you can pretty much just brute force it by guessing 3 times, exiting, and then brute forcing it some more. Seriously, there should have just been a lockpick on the ground in front of each of these. Yeah, there's nothing here, though. No book, no bobblehead. Nothing of value. Let's see. We will move that there. We'll check that. The only thing I could think is that maybe there was supposed to be a power switch somewhere, but I'm not seeing a power switch. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just a power station that was added via DLC, so that you can get more alien ammo, and there originally was just nothing here. Like, which is somewhat believable. Certainly that there very well may have just not been anywhere as many power stations in the overworld, and they were just added later. It certainly would be a increased poor statement. This looks like a whole reservoir. We have raiders fighting a deathclaw. So let's just see how this fight goes. Well, you know, this fight goes badly for me because anytime I can't kill something, then I'm out the XP. And so there is like a level of improvement here that I think could happen, where if I'm in the vicinity and a deathclaw is killing somebody, I should get some kind of observation XP from that. Maybe not the full amount, but enough to at least slightly reward you. Particularly since this is a single player game, there's not any real reason to be stingy about the XP. Also, considering how this game has a level cap, there's no real reason to be stingy about the XP. Of course, that has been consistently a problem with this game. Also, is that it is incredibly stingy when it comes to XP. And I just don't think there's ever a reason to kill Brahmin. Like, just let them wander free. You don't do anything with them yourself. This is, I guess, another experiment on having these silos as sniper's nests, which that makes sense, and I like that as a concept, but they've seemingly only done it twice. There was somebody I shot here, but it seems like their body disintegrated, and then the disintegrated dust fell down on the ground would be my guess. And having to load and load is not desirable. Yeah. This ash pile here, it's like upside down. I assume just fell through the grate. And this is a more open area where clearly they just hung out as raiders. It's not a bad idea. Alright, moving on to the next location. Yeah. You definitely could have the opposite problem that this game has. You could have had the overworld just so incredibly packed full of stuff that everything would feel so commonplace, nothing would feel special. But at a certain level, that is a easily solved problem that most game developers can deal with fairly easily. You just have more narrative focus on important areas and important enemies that you have to kill. You have boss level creatures. You have named creatures. This is another point also where it would have made some sense to it would have made some sense to have a quest to kill all the raiders, clear out all the raider bases. We have another signal here that we've enabled. And then we have a character here. A purified one. He's an escaped slave And he's hostile. Did we lose any karma for fighting with him? No. Doesn't seem like it. He was hostile to us first. He does have like 10 purified waters. If we wanted to regain any karma for what we just may have lost. And there's no good reason even to use Radaway at the moment. Alright. So, map-wise, this way is the next location. Notice I see something flying over there, but my zoom is not particularly good. There's like buzzards or something flying in that general direction. Yeah. It would be an experiment in an overworld game like this just to see how small you can make an empty section of the world so that a bad guy doesn't get aggravated at you and run from all the way from the edge of the map towards you. Grizzly Diner. Keller Family Transcript 3 of 5. This Grizzly Diner might oddly lead to a quest, since it does have that audio element. How much stuff do I have? I am almost completely overburdened. Yep. There it goes. Sugar bombs. Not that there's really any reason to actually connect or collect sugar bombs. Let's do this. Alright. We can start with this, which can't be repaired. We can repair missile launchers. We can get the good laser pistol repaired first. And then 2 combat shotguns. Then Chinese assault rifles. And we could just kind of drop that. And as far as other items, do we have something here? The Merc Charmer outfit versus the Wasteland Legend outfit. The Merc Charmer is +2/+2. This is +2/+2. Poplar's hood could be repaired with the tattered slave outfit, oddly. Which I wouldn't want to do that. And then here we have a big book of science, which won't do anything for us. 2 medicine, which won't do anything for us. Small guns being increased, which won't do anything for us. Energy weapons increase, which I don't think will do anything. We have 5 Nuka-Cola Quantums because we now have just the ability to turn 10 Nuka-Colas into Nuka-Cola Quantums. Pugilism Illustrated will do something for us. Stealth Boys we should sell. Then miscellaneous stuff. We have a whole bunch of scrap metal. And then we don't need sensor modules anymore, so we can just drop those. And that should get us in a much better position. And yeah, our numbers are increasingly going up. In fact, we may get energy weapons up to 100% before we get the bobblehead for energy weapons. Yeah. At this level, I don't see how you don't get to level 30 and have every single skill at 100%. Now, I did take a couple perks to help me with that. And there's still a couple perks that have been disallowed to me. Let's see. So we have purple-haired raider. We have another raider. It would almost be interesting if the raiders were always teenager body models and appearance, and they always were brightly colored. But their commitment to a dark color palette really hurts this game. It's just not. It's too much brown, too much darkness. Yes, I could see dirty but colorful. You could find a compromise there of like colorful but bloodstained. There's a book. And then disarm this pressure plate, even though I already have a. I assume this is a Brahmin leg. And then some buff out. Feels like bobby pins should be in ovens. That's another mod you could certainly do, and it wouldn't really change the game too much, just to let the player find more bobby pins, because I definitely am not finding them. Let's listen to the note. That's what we didn't listen to.
Mom, it's Candace. Oh my God, it's really happening. I can see the cloud. It's so big. Mom, I'm so scared. I'm heading to the vault now. I'll do whatever I can to get inside. My number of the passcode was 7, right?
Okay. So I think we've found other Keller family notes. Is there a way to show active quest notes? Show all. But there's no sort on this interface, so we would have to scroll through this. Here's 2. So we have 2 and 3. And yeah, we may only have 2 of 5, which does make it pretty much impossible to get into the vault. Nor do I even know which vault they're talking about. And see, we've kind of been everywhere, so I've either missed these notes. Like, we did get into Vault 92 easily. We can't get into Vault 87 because of radiation. And that is the main level thing. There's a whole bunch of stuff around here, but none of them are vaults. So you kind of have to assume that the vault that they're talking about is 108. Okay. So we go to the Bethesda ruins, or we go to the Wheaton Army. And see, what's weird here is this once again creates... I hope I didn't miss something in that area. I didn't really look around the area enough. This scrapyard also doesn't really make sense. Donovan? Outcast protectors, Brotherhood outcasts.
Damn, I could have used your help with those uglies.
Donovan, what are you doing in these parts?
Tracked you using the geomapper. Riley sent me to find you so I could bring you this.
Interesting. So we got a mini nuke.
Nothing. That's not how it works. But maybe next time, think about helping out a fellow ranger in trouble.
So, wait a minute. The outcasts and this outcast protectron are all now kind of like the Talon Company. And they'll just straight up save you. This is odd that you have a lady showing a lot of back here, wearing glasses. But see, here's the problem. Yeah. You have like maybe one dark-skinned character here, and then when you start to get to the color palette here, you see more dark-skinned people. So maybe racism is ended in this alternate universe or different timeline. I can't hit anything, so what I'm gonna do is swap to this guy and just shoot this guy in the torso a bunch. Seems odd to have super mutants in this area, but not super odd. Remember, there's a whole shack in the scrapyard that we never got a quest or anything to explain to us what that was. And it's only now, at past the max level of the game, it's only now that this outside world really feels like full of life and full of danger. There was far, far too many hours in which you could wander the desert and not run into anything. Let's see. It seems like we found quite a area. Well, we've accidentally found the Bethesda ruins. I walked the wrong direction. Fair enough. We'll go into the Bethesda ruins. Since Bethesda is the company that made this game, obviously there'll probably be something big to that. Chain gate to Bethesda Underworks. People throwing frag grenades at me. We do have the reset of the action points when we kill something, which is nice, but isn't actually being implemented well, because you either get a full reset after you've killed everybody, or you're not able to then target somebody while still in VATS. So I would much have preferred a perk where on a kill you could then target another character and get refills of action points. Which that's asking a lot, I know, but that's what I would like. One bobby pin. We definitely are back to having to search everywhere. Bethesda's offices east. And Bethesda's parent company was ZeniMax when this game came out. Now Bethesda and ZeniMax have been acquired by Microsoft. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, if anything, with the whole Fallout area. If anything, this might be a subtle commentary of the different offices and branches of Bethesda, that there's an east office and a west office and an underworks office. And undoubtedly Bethesda's buildings probably don't look like this, and they are not in the Washington DC capital area. They are in, I think for the most part, in the Washington State Redmond area, which is on the other side of the United States. What level of XP am I getting for killing these people, by the way? Yeah, at the current moment, there's not a lot of hope for a new Fallout game, since Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 have come out relatively recently, and instead Bethesda in general, under the name of Bethesda, is trying to put out Starlink, what was supposed to be their third tier space sci-fi game, a space that isn't potentially so broken and destroyed, is, I assume, a concept that they're going to try to focus on. Know it. I just risked it there and forced the lock. But yeah. Almost feels like there'd be a tunnel there. Alright, so we have offices west, offices east, and underworld. And then just a lot of buildings. Okay. So let's walk this general direction and go into a place and see what we find. Imagine we won't find too much. Yeah. Not really expecting too much to happen here. The other thing is Bethesda is allegedly also still working on the next Elder Scrolls game as a continuation in the next Skyrim. So unless Microsoft really hands over Fallout as a project to a whole different group of people, or lights a fire under their butt so that they make probably 3 games in less than 10 years, there's a lot of time. A lot of time to rethink what they're doing, and a lot of time to potentially try and make the next Fallout game stand out. In a different way. Because Fallout 4 kind of failed to stand out. Just, there's definitely just like a problem with modernization. And not moving ahead fast enough and embracing new concepts and new game designs and new technology. And those problems are something that Microsoft is going to probably want to address, and definitely should address in taking Bethesda to the next step. And particularly with Fallout, since Fallout wasn't originally even owned by Bethesda and they just bought it, it would be fairly easy to make a justification to hand Fallout to a different team and have Bethesda specifically focus on Skyrim. Yeah. I'm just being really flippant and forcing the locks. But I guess going forward, if something can be forced for 100%, I am just going to force it for 100%. So that is just going to be my new standard way of doing things, and probably I should have been doing that a long time ago. Okay. Yeah. I'm so fast at these first kills now. Like, kills and one-shots. That I really wish I could just do that automatically without going in the vats. And it's not like I'm finding a lot of bobby pins or anything. Which is really the only thing I'm searching for. Is pre-war books. Stim packs. Here you have just a baby bassinet. Lead pipes. Starting to get a little exhausted. Again, I'm just not back to 100% as far as doing 2.5 hour, 2 hours and 45-minute streams or recordings. This goes to the Capital Wasteland. We may very well find that's the way this is just going to play. Wow. Clearly, they don't want whatever it is coming out of that pit. Or they want people to fall down that pit. very badly. Noodles. Definitely see some signs of cannibalism, but no strange meat in the refrigerator. So there's a teddy bear hanging on a hook. And then I guess we'll save here. And we'll see about falling down. Yeah. Kind of nothing there. Interesting. Feels like there should have been something more to that. That seems odd. I don't know if this is perhaps some weird meta commentary in that Bethesda dangles their favorite teddy bears over booby traps and throws them down the pit, or what. Anyways, I guess moving on. This door opens to this. Okay. Once again, over encumbered. Let's see. Laser pistols. Sniper rifle. Go ahead and drop these, drop these. Drop these. Repair that. Alright, that'll drop some decent amounts of stuff. And then where are we on the local map? So this door opens to the upper walkway. So this door goes from the upper walkway back to the other way. And we just came out of this door, the west office, I believe. And now we're going into the east office. I wouldn't be surprised if there actually isn't too much here. It would be kind of pandering, certainly, to have a major quest take a lot of time. In the Bethesda offices. Like, we already know that there is a bobblehead in this area. Just try fire. There. Dirty water with a whole bunch of mercenary is apparently in the water. Alright. Let's go ahead and hit that twice. Hit that twice. Yeah, you get to this point where you're better off just taking a couple hits. So I guess they were doing an experiment here of dirty waters being inside a tub of dirty water, which you can also drink. But it doesn't quite make sense to when you first look at it, because the dirty water is an item that we've been picking up. Like, I was expecting that to be buff out. Let's see. Toolbox. Nothing of interest here. Probably enough items around here to craft something if I really cared. And here we have the bobblehead for lockpicking. Always strive for the unattainable. You can see a whole bunch of tools seemingly designed for them to... Broke it. Well, is it worth it to do that again? Nah, they'll just hack it. We've gotten so much XP that it really wouldn't hurt to always try and force locks specifically on safes when we have a computer right next to us. Sure, I still want to get to level 30, and there might be some possibility where if we do the Oh, well, I think we're going to have to load this autosave, unfortunately. I messed up. That. Oh, he's got the safe key on him. Well, then I guess I could have done that.
Come on, boys! Fresh meat! Yeah.
You're done, Zach. Kick ass. Hold on, meat.
Just, alright. Pick up the bobblehead. Make a safety save. Go ahead and try this. $17 bottle caps. That's all that was in there. Brothers, exposure, standard. So that wouldn't be imagined then. That wouldn't be confined. Oh. I misread that. Okay. 100% force there. We'll do that. Now we do have a mercenary in this bottle. And oddly, we don't have dirty water in there. Wow, that's an odd insight into how things are randomly spawned in this game. Like, I would have assumed that that was just never going to be a possibility, that there would be something completely different. Let's go ahead and just take the safe key while we're at it. Still looking for bobby pins. 2. Could get a fire hose nodule. I almost wouldn't be surprised if there is one of kind of everything of importance in the Bethesda ruins as kind of just a debug. If you needed to craft something or you needed to find a specific item, they could just say, okay, go to the Bethesda ruins. Here you have just like missiles sitting on the desk. Which maybe that's a inside joke as to how things go. People eating in the office. Again, could be an inside joke. Notice there's a lot of filing cabinets here, but not a lot of things in them. I wouldn't be surprised if something disappears or glitches out, they could spawn something extra in this location. There were some sugar bombs. Yeah. So if there is one of every like unimportant item potentially in this level for debug reasons, just in case somebody gets stuck and can't move a storyline forward, this would be kind of a great place to also finish that hypothetical quest where they probably should have given you to collect or pick up one of everything, and that's all you have to do is just like pick them up. Pick up the item. You don't have to carry it or sell it or anything like that. That's definitely what I would hope. There would be a quest like that. And obviously there isn't a quest like that. All kinds of bullets. We already found some books. We already found the bobblehead. So I'm not really expecting to find a lot of other stuff. There were mentats here, which almost feels like a inside joke or admission that some of the people at Bethesda are probably abusing something like Adderall or Ritalin, and may have been more popular at the time. And you know what? That's probably true. It's fairly rampant for people to abuse Adderall that are not diagnosed with something like ADHD. Particularly kind of a shocking amount of people you would consider more successful abusing it because they're workaholics and probably abused it. That was weird. With my feral ghoul mask, they didn't even attack me. They just ran. What in the world is down here that would scare them in such a way? Like, logically, I should have opened fire on them, but I wonder if I wasn't wearing the mask, if they would have attacked me and they were perhaps just programmed to I mean, are these guys just programmed to run away? Or are they programmed to run in that direction because they just assumed that most players wouldn't have the feral ghoul mask? And so now we're just getting this funny twist. But yeah, I just let probably 30 or 40 XP walk past me. And I don't think we've ever seen these switches do anything. There's nothing over here. Got some radiation that we probably should try to avoid. Walk around. And we'll take out at least a glowing one. And see what XP that was. It would have been 12 on a glowing one. That is something. It's not something to just ignore. Hopefully we can go out to the capital wasteland and find there's just a bunch of ferals out there. I don't even know why I'm bothering to pick up stim packs. Let's see. Nuka-Cola Quantum, lunch boxes, frag grenades, Frognar the Barbarian. Can you get bobby pins in this area? Or in metal boxes? We are back up. So lockpicking, for instance, was already at 100. So getting that bobblehead was useless. So now we are, I guess, going with something like this. And then something like this. Everything up to maybe 70. Yeah, I think that's probably good. And then at level 23 with the new special, you don't get to almost perfect until level 30, at which point it's pretty much useless. Anyways, we don't need puppies. Deep sleep to give us 10% XP for sleeping anywhere might be interesting. But what I think I want is probably some of these unarmed paralyzing palm concepts. Other than that, it's kind of all the same old. And increasing small guns and repair would be useless. Intensive training at a single point into any one of your special attributes would be useless. Even the fact that I've done that so much is kind of silly. 5 points in melee and 5 points in explosive skills almost feels like something of useful. I could arguably take Swift Learner instead of the other one if I am going to do something like that. Unarmed points of damage per rank. Explosive damage doing 20% more damage. 25% resistance to radiation. It's kind of useless too. Life Givers, 30 extra hit points. It's not necessary or useful. So, I guess before taking Paralyzing Palm as an option, we should take Iron Fist. And we'll see if there's any point in which I want to be unarmed. What are we fighting here? Ghouls? Would it make sense to try to take on ghouls while unarmed? I mean, it almost makes no sense to take on anything while unarmed, because these things all move fast enough and far enough for it to not really work. Alright, well, I want to see where this Capital Wasteland exit takes us, so let's use this. Takes us to a sewer area, so nothing of interest there. Actually though, that's it. So is there some kind of weird meta commentary here? Like we are now somewhere else, and is this a walled off section? Doesn't look like it. It just kind of feels like what they've done is maybe this is somewhat a recreation of what their offices look like or feel like. That's about all I can think. Because otherwise there's just like nothing here. It's just always so pathetically empty, these extra bits. So why not have had this area instead deep? Alright, well, let's try this Paralyzing Palm Strike. Alright. Let's do this. So, boxing match aside, this isn't gonna work. And see, these guys might hit just hard enough for this to be an issue. If I was going to do this. Now, I could see a scenario where you're low on bullets and you might have wanted to do this early in the game. But no, I don't think so. Like, we've got way too many bullets now to justify something like this. So I'm more likely just taking perks at this point for no reason. And I guess if there's just no more perks to consider, I should just take Swift Learner. Not that you really need it. And yeah, that may have contributed somewhat to my health being somewhat low. But I've got so many stim packs. Just does not matter. Maybe if I had gone into the sewer underworks first, then the feral ghouls would have run past me and killed all of the raiders. I guess that's a possibility as far as how this all would have happened and gone. But yeah, you definitely run into the same old problems here. I went through a building, I found a bobblehead. I'm probably overburdened with items. Yeah, I am close enough to being overburdened with items that it would make sense to just go to Megaton and...
Hello.
Somebody just saying hello to me? Yeah. Alright.
Welcome home, madam.
So let's activate the stand. And now we have lockpicking added. And I think agility added. There are 2 special bobbleheads left to collect and 6 non-special bobbleheads left to collect. And if anything, it's definitely is shocking on how many of these bobbleheads I have successfully collected. Now we have in this 343 ice cold Nuka-Colas. We take all of those, put them in our inventory, then exit. Are those now all ice cold Nuka-Colas? Or did they convert over? That wouldn't have been ice cold Nuka-Colas. Yeah. So if anything, by holding on to them and turning them into ice cold, I've made my choice. And I can't turn them into quantums. Which, yeah, that kind of sucks. But whatever. And I guess at this point, yeah, there's really not any reason to hold on and sell things. We've got way too much resources. So let's instead just throw items in the refrigerator that are these kinds of items that take space up. We have a lot of books that we need to read. This would increase our science, which is useless. This will increase our sneak, which is still useful. This increases melee weapons, which is still useful. And make sure everything weight-wise. This increases barter, which is still useful. This increases big guns, which is useless. Alright. Now, as far as weapons, we have flamer here and laser pistols, which are useless. Missile launcher at full. Should also just sell a minigun. And sniper rifles. Sell that. Then apparel. As far as head wraps. Put another head wrap in here. Radiation suit. We still don't have the thing that we would need more than anything else. Big guns, explosive +5. Yeah. Which is the power suit training. Once we start to look at the power suit training, we should potentially come back and look at what we've got and try and see if this ridiculous collection of outfits. Yep. We did not get a Vault 92 jumpsuit either. And then generic garbage over here. Deathclaw hands. That. And that.
Welcome home,
Yep.
madam.
So well, you will rest for a couple hours to get into the morning time. Wish this was a little bit faster.
Welcome home, madam.
We could get the puppies perk, come to think of it, if I am just looking for pointless perks. I should get the puppies perk. Yeah, that way dog meat would still give us, would be an actual playable character. Yeah. Next time I level up, unless there's just some other skill that's really useful, I'll get the puppies perk.
Huh? Yeah.
Alright. Take all the scrap metal I have.
Well, all right. Let me count out your caps.
Still getting a decent amount
Well,
of
back to
XP
work.
from that. Moira still is the easiest person to deal with. Weapons. Sell the low level gun there. And that. And I feel like I probably should hold on to the missile launcher. But maybe not. Meanwhile, what can I buy from her? Some stim packs. Whole bunch of garbage. Bullets. There we go. That's
Good
a
hunting.
good enough deal.
Come.
Then we will fast travel to not Annandale. Where is it? Arlington Library. And we'll trade some books since we have a decent amount of these.
Hello.
Where'd you go?
Welcome back. Have you been
Oh, I have found the Brotherhood holotag. What should I do with it?
Talk to Scribe Jameson. She's our keeper of the scrolls. She will want to know what you have found. She spends most of her time in the archives. You'll find them in A Ring, near the Great Hall. Excellent. Very well. Here is your reward.
88 XP.
Use it well, and return with more books when you can. Steel be with you.
Alright, so Scribe Jameson in the Great A Hall. I don't think she's here. I feel like if there was a Scribe Jameson in this location, I would have met her, I would have seen her. I think it would be kind of foolhardy to go and investigate these two areas. We haven't been to this place in a long time, but yeah, once things are emptied, they seem mostly to stay emptied. Yeah.
Hey there.
So what she means with the Great A Hall is a single player, is a storyline area for the Brotherhood of Steel that we just have not accessed. Alright, so there's nothing else we need to really do. We've gone everywhere we can with the exception of Vault 87. We haven't done everything with a little lamplight. And we weren't able to get to Raven Rock. Which, that again puts us back at the scrapyard to fast travel. And again, we will move this marker and attempt to follow it in the right direction. Am I going the right direction? No. Why does this keep pointing me in the wrong direction? Then. Yeah, it's this way. And yet, apparently, I'm just far enough away that it doesn't matter. I can, once I've visited every location, particularly if I do all the DLC before I turn in. Wow. An Outcast and a Deathclaw seem to have a battle here. And Donovan died. Wow. Well, that sure seems sucky that I just don't pay attention and the Deathclaw, they walk in a direction and Donovan's dead. A named character just died because of a random Deathclaw. I walked in a different direction. Did the other robot and the other outcasts survive, or are their bodies strewn? Was that perhaps even what they were implying, is that you better follow this guy because he's about to get attacked? Or is that just a random occurrence? Yeah, that's really a perfect example of what you don't want in a game, is to have a named character, somebody who's supposed to be important, just randomly die off screen when you're not even paying attention to it. Like, if you are going to kill off that character, it should be done in front of the player's face. And it should be done for a reason. It's really just a senseless death and a waste of a good character. How far are we from the armory? We are, I think, literally right on top of it. But I don't think that this is particularly a sneaky way of getting in. Alright, Raider. It's kind of strange when you get these differently lit characters. Like, when the textures want to load in what I assume is correctly. We're just gonna sniper these guys with the laser rifle. Yeah, it definitely feels like this is just a area full of raiders, which, much like the other raider area, that if I had a lower karma rating, maybe they would do business with me and talk to me. But because I have this high karma rating, they just are shooting me on sight. Let's see. I guess we still technically want bobby pins. I still think technically we can get bobby pins. So this was supposed to be kind of like a guard tower. And then more security. This definitely feels like this could have been an actual military facility. And we'll always pick up missiles and missile launchers, even though we'll probably never use them. I suspect. Oh, I'm a little surprised that didn't load into a different area. I'm not even really having to reload. So the bullet management mechanic of this game, while you do have to, early in the first half, in the first act of the game, have to be somewhat careful with your resources and bullets, the reload element of that is never really played a big enough role to justify its existence. We don't know what's in these bigger canisters, so there could be something interesting in them, but I would, you'd almost expect them to be Deathclaw things. And load. Try that again. Yeah. It would make some sense if there were rad roaches or death claws or something inside those canisters, and that they would like burst out at random times. Even if that's not what they were originally containing, it would make sense for there to be ghouls or rad roaches or something like that. There's a lot of building here. So kind of clearly this was an experiment in more urban combat. And that experiment didn't get embraced. This would work, this kind of level design, if you were making a Halo style run and gun shooter. It totally doesn't work if you're making a game that is so heavily reliant on VATS. And I think it is worth speculating, at least to think that there was a possibility that this game was going to be a run and gun action shooter 100% in that direction and just have the Fallout name around it. And either they couldn't get the programming or the gameplay mechanic to feel really good, not that VATS feels good, or they found some other problem with going that direction, whether the problem would be too many people would be upset that it wouldn't have anything to do with the old Fallout things. People, I imagine, were slightly upset in just how drastically different this was. Anyways. Like, almost certainly there was a level of fandom that felt this would have been a betrayal to Fallout 1 and 2. And you just never know if you go into this room. Are you going into a whole dungeon, or are you going into a small little area? This feels like just another nuclear radiation area. This might be a place that's radiated enough that we'll have real problems getting through it. Plus 3 rads, plus 4 rads. How many rads did I just get? 55. Let's check the local map. Let's look again. It's like we really can't lollygag around this. 5 rads, 6 rads, 7 rads. Like, our rads are going up very, very fast. You know what? Let's take a rad X. And that'll help. So we're now down to 1 rad. So this definitely feels like this is an area that is an experiment on just how Taking 2 red X's, seemingly not helping. Like, could you make an area that was radioactive? And could that play a big role? See, this is a silo. Is this the place where I shot and launched the silo missile? Like, that would be strange. Certainly. I have a Mark 7 turret that is giving us actual trouble. And we have a raider and a door. Turret. Do you get radiations while you're hacking? I'd assume not. Defensive, crumbling, grappling. Is it accepting? Nope. Well. Yeah, I'm definitely being more flippant with this stuff. And you just don't really have time for Power Fist. Yep. You don't really have time to move around. Save. Just overwrite that save. Load. Load. If it wasn't very hard, I'd probably just like I want these so we know it's not ING. Want the XP for this and lock door. Okay. So in here we have a missile launcher. Something that's 85%, so we'll take that for missiles. Missiles. Minigun. I'm gonna be overburdened and irradiated. Yeah, if you get the expertise for forcing it, if you get the XP for forcing it. Sniper rifle. This place is just full. I don't even know if I've ever had a plasma grenade. I probably have. And then just not even caring. Let's just assault rifles. It wouldn't make the most amount of sense for them to have Chinese assault rifles. But yeah, you can definitely tell this would be the place. Yeah, I missed a lot of places here though. where I could have gotten more XP. So that feels kind of sucky. But you know what? I kind of don't care either. So this would be the place where if you wanted to get a whole bunch of weapons, you would go and check it out. But to get that trade-off, you would definitely have had to had your radiation resistance fairly high. Doesn't have to be crazy high though. Take note, this is very different from getting to that vault, where the vault increases the amount of rads you get to it to a ridiculously high amount as you get anywhere close to it, and kills you instantaneously. I really would have thought the game would have done more of that, where you would have been walking into random places and not realized how irradiated it was, and then instant death awaits you. I guess they wanted to be generous. Radiation poisoning seems to maybe also get rid of being well rested, but whatever. I guess if you had well rested as a perk and a quick learner, you might get 20% XP. I still just don't really believe you need that. Okay. So our next location would be this factory. And then there's just this building, and then this caverns, and then the rest of this I think is so inside more of a walled capital area. We'll try and do Vault 108, but we may not be able to get into Vault 108. We've otherwise, as far as I can tell, unless I've just absolutely overlooked something, done the entire top half of the map, which this was the top half of the map also that I really didn't explore or do anything at when I first played this game, because the main story really does not push you to go above this lake area. Although, with all this DLC, if it is adding more stuff, I am also seeing a lot of places in this area that I don't recall playing, and a lot of places in this area that I don't recall playing. And while I may have done 60, 70, maybe even 80% of this area is also the most sparsely decorated section anyway, so yeah. If you just play from up here to here and you miss several places, and then you just do the main story, and then you get the game over that doesn't let you continue, there is a ridiculous amount of content you can miss, and I feel like I definitely did miss a lot of it. We can take a rad away to get rid of all of our radiation. We have Red X, which is rad resistance plus 75, which gets us to 85%. Seems like you can't just take several Rad X's. We can heal for no real reason. Skills wise, we are quickly getting everything up to 70 except for barter. And it definitely does kind of feel like if we get to level 30, since we're at level 23 now, we may be able to go from level like 28 to 29 to 20 to 30 and get barter, if not 200%, very close to 100%. And honestly, with the extra levels from level 22, which was the main game's cap, to level 30, you may have enough points to have gotten all of these to 100 without finding bobbleheads, without taking specific perks that increases like big guns. There is also a factor to consider in that we did take that one perk that gives you one additional skill point whenever you read a book, and we took educated, which gives you 3 more skill points every time you advance a level. And that turned out to be very useful after all. As far as actual quests we've done, we did Agatha's story, and that was like the only quest. We've nearly discovered 150 locations, which, yeah, you could have brought it down to 100 locations easily. We still have never been addicted, or picked pockets, or exploded pants. With our sneak going up, we may do that. We only mezzed one person. We haven't done any paralyzing punches. I don't think we have that perk. We don't have the Sandman kills perk. We don't have the robots disabled perk. We don't have the contracts perk or the corpses eaten perk. So I think it would be fairly hard to make a build where you could have done each of these things once. And there probably should have been a point where you have a quest where you have to do a Sandman kill, even if you're playing as a very good character with high karma. And there probably should have been a quest that forced you to do a paralyzing punch, even if you had to earn that perk later on. Or buy that perk later on. Something to just let you sample those features and see if you really like it. We are, I guess, in a good position to look at like the missile launcher and the sniper rifle and get rid of some weapons. And then Ranger battle armor compared to another Ranger battle armor. Ranger battle helmet compared to poplar hood. Sneak +1 agility still feels like that's better than a damage reduction of 4, considering our damage reduction in general is like at 62. Radiation suits we can improve upon. So that gets some of our inventory down. We are still very much running into the problem of just not having enough bobby pins, and I'm also now running into the problem of just not really caring. So it's kind of a good thing that there isn't that much left to do. I'm hoping I can get a second wind. Certainly when we start doing the DLC and we start moving the main story forward, I'm hoping the main story of the main game is going to be relatively shorter. Because if they make me go to like 5 or 6 places I've already been, that'll kind of suck. And when we get to the riverboat landing and a couple other places, like the train tunnel that takes us to the pit, I'm expecting those to probably not be as open world and be more linear, short DLC experiences. Alright, let's make a save. Yep. And that's where I'm going to end this recording. We did manage to go for almost 3 hours. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.